Alright, we're back. Part 2 of episode 41. Okay, so yeah, you guys have been here for all of a day, even though we're going back in time to that second night. So, watch now, you'll like pick a fight and like kill someone, get kicked out, and all of everything else will be...
Because we pick so many fights.
Well, it's all gonna go
I
to
don't know how
shit.
this dinner's gonna go.
Yeah.
You call this food?
Chicken bath for the meal.
Yeah, so the wind is howling, the rain is beating down, and you guys are doing whatever you're doing in the afternoon. And then you will eventually, regardless of where you guys are individually, you'll be kind of brought. There'll be like people that come, or Aarakokra that will come and inform you that that the dinner is ready, and they will bring you up through the temple. Instead of that common area where you guys have eaten so far, they'll bring you up to up the staircase that goes above the temple, and there's a second. There's a very brief jaunt outside, but you'll notice as you go up like 2 full stories, and then there's a room, or there's a door that leads outside onto a rather steep staircase, like the one that you took from like the cleansing chamber up to the main temple. And even though the water, or the wind and rain is kind of like whipping and howling, and when you're out here on this balcony, you notice that here the rain seems to just kind of like it turned back and away, just a few meters out from the staircase, so you are actually perfectly dry. It seems like there's like a cylindrical column of like air, essentially, that's like keeping the weather back as you make your way up to a higher building. This building is I just have to pull up my
And this is up the stairs that we were told not to go up.
Yeah.
Maybe we should turn around.
No, man, I made a friend that allowed us into the restricted section.
I don't know what kind of pull
so
they have.
If you'll recall, this is, I know it's huge. So this is kind of like the layout. The main temple is obviously this building here. So you guys head out here, and this whole walkway here is like blocked off, like from the weather. And what does this thing look like here?
So this person's getting the royal treatment.
I don't get it.
Oh, it does. Weird. Oh, this is the one building apparently they don't actually have a map for.
We're not supposed to go there.
It's numbered, but it's not. It doesn't have one. Okay, whatever. It doesn't matter. Let's make it up. When you reach top here, so there's some sort of dwelling here that has, as you're making your way up this ramp, actually I guess it's not as steep as the one coming up. I thought it was, but I lied. As you're making your way up this ramp, by the way, this walkway here is in very good repair. Like it looks like it's like freshly repaired. and as you're making your way up, you can see that there are 2 Aarakokra guards on this little platform that leads into this building. They're flanking the door with spears. And when you get to the top, you are greeted by Ashara at the door. And then the escort of, monks or priests or whatever they are, that brought you up there, will kind of leave you. And Ashara will lead you into a large room. It's not quite as large as the temple, but it's still quite large. And you can see that up above, there are several ringed balconies, but it's open all the way from the bottom to the very top, which is big, this domed roof. And you can see that there are several balconies, multiple levels up, but there doesn't seem to be any ladders or stairs to get up there. But you imagine if you had wings, you wouldn't need that, because it is large enough and open enough here that you could, if you had wings, fly up and to alight on those upper levels. So you're not sure quite what's up there. You can't really see. But on the bottom floor, anyways, it's a pretty comfortable looking area. It's full of there's plenty of seating. There's several kind of curved, kind of half moon shaped tables that have benches that sit around them. So upwards of probably, you would guess, maybe 15 or so people could easily sit around these tables and all kind of roughly face each other. With the curve of the table, they would be like 3 semicircles of 5, kind of all facing the center. All of the chairs here, they're all stools instead of chairs, which you imagine is probably because most people here that sit have wings that chairs don't really work well with.
Makes sense.
But Ashara will welcome you. She says this is her private abode. She said the children will be along shortly, but she invites you to sit. There's already some refreshments on the table. It's just her here, but you will also notice. Sorry, it's just her that greets you, and there doesn't seem to be any other guests here at all. There are a couple of the Aarakokra that are just kind of, milling about. As well, there is, you can see across the way, T-Bolt is already here as well. And he's just kind of standing near the open area. You do see that there is a large archway like there was in the temple and in that other chamber, that's open to the sky. And even though you can see the weather storming outside, essentially, again on the balcony, the rain doesn't seem to hit it. It just kind of stops, as if there's a invisible glass pane or something there, just kind of a couple meters off the edge of the balcony. So it doesn't actually come inside or get the balcony wet at all.
Nice.
And yeah, so Ashara would gesture for you guys to sit and enjoy some refreshments.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Thank her for the hospitality.
Indeed, this is lovely. I'm eyeing one of the stools, making sure does it seem like it's gonna. But you said that like Tybalt and those guys are pretty big.
They're pretty big.
I mean, I'm probably not as big as me, but
yeah, hollow bones.
Yeah,
true.
They do have hollow bones. Yeah. Or do they? I don't know. Sure, that's canon now.
I will sit. I'll sit gingerly, gauging.
Ashara kind of waits till you're all seated, and there's some basic refreshments brought around to you, and then she waits until the other Aarakokra leave after dispensing the refreshments, and then she goes and kind of stands in the center. So I don't know if you guys all share the same table. Well, I guess there's 6 of you, so you'd have to at least split between 2 different tables at the minimum. But she kind of like goes and stands in the center of the 3 tables that kind of all face each other in these little semicircles. And she kind of turns and regards you all. And she says, "So, before children arrive, I would just like to let you know a little bit, although I suspect you may already surmise their identities, having talked with them." She says, like, looking at Archie. She's like, "The guests here are the last living heirs to the throne of Chult. Princess Moxanare and Prince Na. It's like, we have sheltered them here for the last 6 years or so, since Na was born. In fact, well, actually, sorry, scratch that. She would actually say that she's sheltered them both here since they were born. Their parents also, however, both of their parents passed about 5 years back."
Their parents were the former king and queen of Chult. So I apologize. I'm trying to follow.
She nods and she's like, "They're sorry, I just have to look up their names real quick." Sorry, because I forget. Here we are. She said, yes, their father, Omek, and their mother, Razan, they...
Azan?
Razan.
Razan.
Like, they were the direct... She's like, well, one of them was the direct descendant of the royal bloodline, descended directly from Queen Napaka. Before Omu fell, she believes it was Razan, but they never actually said directly which of them was the direct descendant. But it's like they were children when Omu fell. Their parents fled when the city fell. When the slave revolts happened. This was decades ago. Napaka is the last ruling queen of Omu.
Mm-hmm.
But she would tell you that, so Napaka's then children, which may not have been more than the same age as Moxanare is now, fled when the city fell. Napaka, having given her life in exchange for the release of her people, her family fled in the confusion. She doesn't know what became of them, but eventually Omek and Razan made their way. They found their way to Kir Sabal, and they took sanctuary here, which we allowed. And unfortunately, Razan was killed during a raid by Terrafolk. But while they were here, the princess, Moxanare, she was a baby when they arrived. Prince Na was born here about 10 years after they arrived. So the princess has and the prince and princess have both lived here all of their lives, essentially. Razan was killed by terrafolk. Omek, unfortunately, died during the what you guys would call the the Obsidian Sky. He unfortunately during that tumultuous time, it might have been an accident. Although, if you guys want to give me a quick insight check.
In the tower, or?
It doesn't need to be.
I just.
Yeah, Baz and Jonah, you guys would pick up. The rest of you don't really pick this up right away, but you get the sense, just her body language when she talks about how Omek died during that time. She describes it as a fall. You get the sense that it's possible it was a deliberate fall. It's kind of the way she kind of like, you can sense
kind of
like
dances around it a little bit.
Yeah, she calls it a fall, but there's something about how she kind of describes what happened. She leaves out a lot of details, and she kind of like falters a couple times describing it as a fall. So you get the sense that perhaps he may have deliberately fell. But regardless, the princess and the prince have been here all their lives. We've done our best to shelter them. Princess Muraxinare being the last living heir, and with Mesro gone, you may have an idea of the history of this land, but with Mesro gone, Princess Muraxinare technically is the living heir to both the throne of Omu and the throne of Mesro. So therefore, all of Chult. She's the rightful queen.
How come she goes by princess instead of queen?
Like, well, you need to be coronated and sit on a throne to be a queen. Until then, she is princess. Prince Na will be a prince all his life unless the princess dies without an heir of her own, being the youngest of the two. It's like I tell you this because they are aware of their. I'm not sure how much the little one really understands, but the princess is well aware of her lineage. And I will tell you that we believe that she one day will retake her throne and rule this land once again. Until then, it is our solemn duty to keep her safe. The bearers of that bloodline were assigned by Ubtao himself centuries ago. And she has, well, her family had with them the Negus Negusti. And she now wears them now, having had her 17th name day, she now bears those. She is. I taught her all I could of this land and her peoples and her lineage. I tell you that she does not fully, I believe, truly understand what that truly could mean, but I suspect, and she kind of glances over you guys all again, that you may have a greater idea of what exactly her station and her existence could mean for this land. She kind of gives you like a pause in case anyone wants to say anything. Or
I mean, I won't be shy about it. I have no idea what that could mean.
I know that it would certainly, from a political perspective, feel like the trade prince and such.
Sorry, Brad, you're kind of cutting out. I can't.
You're really quiet right here.
Baz was saying that I'm a little bit with Aelin, but the first thing that I think of is if someone were to come about and say I'm the rightful heir to the throne of Chult, there would be several parties, especially in Port Nyanzaru, that would be interested and in hearing this news, but maybe not interested in giving up what power they have. I think of the trade princes and the 12, so on and so forth.
It may depend with the princes. Just because a ruler comes into play, it doesn't necessarily take away from what they still control, and they are all Chultan as well.
Sure.
So it's hard to say how that. I agree with you. It could absolutely be very not wanted by some of them, and then some of them might want. It's hard to say.
I mean, where I come from, these sort of it's certainly not as large a scope, but there are certainly tribal leaders and royalty to a degree, maybe not the same way, but one thing seems to hold certain wherever you go is that people in power like to stay in power.
Sure.
Well, yeah, I would say it's the same in the Sword Coast. There's cities and city-states that have rulers and governing bodies, but there's nobody that rules all the Sword Coast.
And then, if, let's say, for example, that, we go to, we take care of the troubles that are there. I understand I'm very much minimizing what's likely happening there.
I mean, long-term goal, but
long-term goal.
Let's
just speak figuratively. And the throne is once again opened. It could certainly take a degree of time and rebuilding of trust.
Sure.
And maybe even years, but I think it's I suppose it seems like a worthwhile thing to aim for.
Even outside of the port, there's a lot of different tribes all throughout the plateau.
Peninsula.
So
What's
close. The difference?
A plateau is like it's like where Imbala is. It's just like a natural cliff.
I knew what word I was going for.
You're so proud of it too.
Peninsula.
Plateau.
I don't need to be mocked by you. Okay, no, get away from me.
I love you.
No, I think you mean island.
It's hard to say how if they react favorably, even apart from those in power, I don't know enough to know whether it would be taken favorably or not. I feel like maybe, but
I would like to hope so.
There's a lot. There's something to be said for history and loyalty to that history of your, anybody who follows Uptow, religiously, should, before it, because the line was decreed by him. It's pretty, you can't really debate that. It's a thing that happened,
Sure.
So it's hard to say how.
Nevertheless,
how it goes.
I think that we can all understand why, it's a good idea that they be kept here and out of sight
For now.
and safe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so what would it mean?
A voice from the doorway behind you guys says war. It would mean war, Aelin. And you guys turn and would see that Princess Moxanare is standing in the doorway.
I would stand up and kind of give a nod.
She kind of, and you see Prince Nas just got like what looks to be like a stuffed Aarakokra, and he's just kind of like holding it. Doesn't seem to be caring what these boring adults are talking about. Just kind of behind her, and she kind of like walks over and sits down at one of the tables. She's like, "Oh, don't stop the conversation on account of my. I find it fascinating, an outside view."
Well, I kind of to what I was hinting at. I think war is certainly a potential thing.
She's like, my understanding it would be almost an inevitability.
Between whom and whom specifically?
It's like
princes or
she's like, while I am aware of sympathetic factions within the city and the peninsula as a whole, among the tribe's people, some would welcome a monarch again. Others, well, wouldn't be so quick to let go of the power they've accumulated since the royal lines fell. But certainly she kind of like pauses, like almost deliberately considering her words. The foreign influences in this land certainly have no interest in a unified Chult with a ruler on the throne.
Yeah, I can't picture a scenario where, say, the Flaming Fist say, "Oh, this is your throne? Okay, we'll just leave now."
He's like, and hence
they can only extend themselves so far.
They're just using it in name. The Flaming Fist right now is whatever they are. Do you think they're still following orders from somebody across the ocean? They're working on their own.
She nods and she says, from what I've heard, it's almost a certainty that they are directed from the mainland of the Sword Coast.
What have you heard?
She's like, well, she kind of like looks over at T-Vault and Ashara, and they just both kind of nod kind of to her. And she turns back and she says, well, if what our agents in the city say is true, there are many outside influences that vie for a piece of my land, but none more eagerly than the Fist. They are, well, I'm sure you know better than I, but Baldur's Gate is one of the foremost powers of the Sword Coast, perhaps in all of Faerun. Their military might is second to none. They have the manpower, and if they were just here for loot and treasure, well, I don't believe they'd be building ports and gates and fortresses and... No, they are claiming this land for their own. It is not theirs, and if I have anything to say about it, well, they'll pay for every inch of land they seek to take, or have taken.
Right now, they're focusing on extorting gold out of people just for traveling the mere land.
He's like, I'm well aware of their charter.
Or, yeah.
Like, yes,
It's how they fund
all in an
this
effort.
themselves.
Exactly. They extort from the local populace. It's not just gold from would-be explorers and travelers. It is also, they extort, well, they extort my people, they extort our resources. As I said, they have no right to claim what they have.
You'll find no dissenting voices here.
She's like, at least the Gilded Eye, while not welcome in this land, at least have a seemingly and more noble goal in mind: the eradication of the undead. They don't seem to be. They don't seem to be here for, well, for good, if you will, for, i.e., permanently.
Yeah.
That might be their goal now, but maybe when they're done, they decide that they're interested in being just as xenophobic here as they were on
Witch
the Sword
hunting.
Coast.
Possibly. Depends on them.
She's like, well,
We've gotten to know a couple of the lower ranking members who seem to have their head on their shoulders, but the higher up anybody seems to go in anything, it seems to take all normal thought and replace it with different ambitions, different goals.
he nods.
Like, holier than thou. Effect.
True enough. Although I'm not a fan, it goes against the teachings of Ubtao to allow these. She kind of like again pauses deliberately. She's like, these foreign beliefs to take root in this land. This land was given to Ubtao. The gods have no right to this land. So I don't appreciate the spreading of the new gods. This is not something that I actively oppose. I just fear that the longer, and she kind of like looks at Ashara, she's like, the ramifications of such a presence here. And Ashara nods and she's like, it's true that the compact Ubtao had with the gods states that they cannot have any presence here, but I don't know if that extends to their worshippers, their mortal worshippers. It's one thing for the gods to physically set foot in Chult, and another for believers in the gods to do so. I don't think we need to be quite that strict.
I believe that I've been given dreams from the gods, or from one of them, anyways, about the strife that's happening here.
Well, yeah, I think we should be clear that none of us here is on any particular mission to convert or spread the word of our particular beliefs. We're all here because of a friend, and part of that is learning about this curse that's coming out of Omu and
It's
doing what we can
everywhere.
to try and stop it.
It's affecting the Sword Coast. Even there's more here that's happening here, and it's affecting everything. And I believe, in one way or the other, we all been called, and we can probably help in one way or the other. Because whatever it seems to be something that's coming from Umau.
Omu.
Amu,
Close.
sorry. I didn't have it on the notes page. I need it on every page. How to say it?
T-Ball takes a couple steps forward, and kind of like opens his mouth like he's gonna say something, and Ashara kind of like just puts up a hand and he stops and kind of takes a step back again. Ashara's mood seems to have darkened fairly considerably, and she kind of like glowers at you guys.
Sorry. Shouldn't have said the name. I apologize. We're used to speaking of it freely, which may not be the wisest, but
until recently we didn't connect certain things directly to it, so we did.
Yeah, the princess kind of like just like chuckles a little bit, and she's like, "Oh," and she's like, "Superstition, it's fine." She's like, "Believe me, Omu is the," and Ashara kind of like glowers at her too. She's like, "I can't very well refer to my homeland, the seat of my great grandmother, without saying its name, now can I?" She's like, Ashara's like, "Well, I'd prefer we refer to it as the Forbidden City." And then she just kind of like smiles at Ashara, and she's just like, "Noted."
Apologies. I didn't know that, or I don't know if it was said in a different session, but I'll apologize. Apologies.
On that subject, the forces that attacked, do you believe they're coming from the Forbidden City?
The fact that they resemble a demon, the gargoyles resembled a demon. You said Pazuzu?
Yeah, a demon lord of the
with
first
the wings
town.
and the
Yeah, T-Ball would
which
step
we
forward.
refer to as.
Yeah, T-Ball would step forward now, and he's like, "Yes, my scouts have followed some of the stragglers back to try to locate their origin. We lose them, well, several. Before I speak out of turn, I was about to say several hundred miles, but I don't think it's that far. Is it?
Several thousand.
Across the ocean.
5 miles away. It's just next door.
One hex away.
Yeah, he says, my scouts have followed them. Unfortunately, we tend to lose them. They don't seem to tire at all, whereas we have to stop and rest. But we believe, yes, they are coming from the Forbidden City. Unfortunately, we have not been able to locate the city itself, and we've not been able to follow them. It must be deep in the southwestern jungles, somewhere to the west of the Peaks of Flame, we believe, but... More bubble tea?
Just try this one. I just made it.
Is that a metal straw?
Yeah. It's a bubble tea straw.
Right.
Reusable.
Oh, sure.
Mm,
Hadn't seen a reusable bubble tea straw.
This is my new favorite.
your new favorite?
It's my new favorite.
It's good. It's just milk. It's not just
bubbles
milk.
and brown sugar.
Liz, can you make bubble tea?
I have Milkus in a can.
Milk piss.
In a can.
It's like
Yeah,
milk,
yeah.
but not quite.
It tastes like piss.
No, this
Like
one's
milk,
actually
but tastes like piss.
peach flavored milkus.
Milk is not in this can.
When he says west of the Peaks of Flame, does he mean the ones like
The big ones in the center.
We actually
the
see
big
them.
ones in the center?
The big
Okay, the
ones.
big
Ones that we
three.
know of.
Yeah.
Well, there's some down on the edge of the coast too. Like they wrap around the sort of bottom area. So I was just wondering if you meant the middle ones or
Yeah, the middle ones. But he would say, yeah, we haven't gone very far. That is dangerous land, and well, some of the scouts we've tried to locate their point of origin haven't returned. But we believe that, well, we know from what we know of this land that Olma was somewhere in that area. But we can only surmise.
The undead run rampant there. Or?
He nods. He's like, you'll find that the undead east of the... No, that's the wrong direction. West of the River Olung. Make sure I get this right. West of the River Olung and Lake Luau, and north of the or south of the Aldani Basin, that area is heavily infested.
and it goes all the way down, like in one big swath. There's like breaking.
The undead tend to stay out of the foothills of the mountains, but the mountains themselves have their own dangers, particularly around the Peaks of Flame. It's not a very hospitable land. But yes, for the most part, that the center of the jungle there is where we believe the bulk of, well, the undead are. And then Ashara would nod, and she's like, yes, when the exiled Beret abandoned his armies to the jungle, whether by choice or not is unclear. But all we know for sure is after Nasi brought his armies to bear against the Ashaudan people, that sometime after that, Ubtao left this land. She kind of pauses and she would say, the people that remained in the Forbidden City after those wars, after the Ashau were annihilated, they turned to the other primal spirits of this land. Some claim that the spirits are aspects of Ubtao left behind. Others claim that they are just powerful elemental spirits. Either way, whatever may be true, the people turned to their worship and venerated them. Then Mesro, after the Batiri Wars, when Mesro disappeared, we're not sure what happened to Nasi and his armies, but the undead since then have been directionless, milling about the jungle.
They seem to have... Well,
go
ahead. I was going to mention the ones with the markings, when they seem to follow that direction. If they lose that one, then they go back to basically mindless. Like, you've seen those ones, right? The ones with those markings, the glowing markings.
Yeah. T-Bolt would nod. He'd say, we've seen them. Luckily, my people haven't had to contend with the undead threat. We're safe here, and, well, as you can see, our methods of travel keep us well out of their hands. So we haven't had to contend with them much. But yes, we have seen the ones with the mark of Nasi on their forehead. Whether they're intelligent or not, or just following some base instinct, they seem to be at least somewhat more clever than the shambling skeletons and zombies.
But without those ones, the other ones just fall to random, uncoordinated movements. I would, as a kind of a general movement.
Makes me
Nothing
glad
keeps
that
them.
there's. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, it's just we seen the kill, like they lost that one at the port and whatever, just up north there, and when we killed the last one with the glowing mark, the remaining skeletons and undead basically had nothing direction, and then they tried to leave, turn around, and
Yeah, they lost
like
purpose.
I've never seen undead run before. Like it's not like they have brains, but brains. But still, it's just it's like something has to is focusing them through that, which is very dangerous. Sounds like
on the
if they actually got more.
Sorry, Bess, you were gonna
No,
say
it's
something?
fine. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, on the topic of Nasi, when we were in the temple in Mesro, we got the impression that he was also in Omu. As well.
He's like,
so
we've heard that Omu is, and then he kind of like catches himself as Ashara kind of like glares at him.
Oh right, sorry.
He's like, we've heard that it is a beacon for, well, evil. There's a darkness there that seems to draw more darkness to it. The undead wouldn't surprise me if Nasi is there. And then Ashara kind of says yes, and of course we are aware the Yuan-ti,
that's the...
after Hisare fell, we know that they migrated to that area as well.
Mm-hmm.
And T-Balt would kind of pause, and he's like, and of course, other foreign influences seem to be drawn there like moths to a flame. He kind of glances, and Princess kind of looks up and she says, ah, the red-robed wizards of Thay. Yes, them as well.
Sons of bitches. I mean, what?
There was one that we encountered in Port Nazaro.
Yeah, had to hire us.
Yeah, the princess says, yes, and there is another that has made a home for herself. Not far as we fly from here, in the south of the Eldani Basin.
On the big heart thing?
Shara nods. She's like, yes, the emote of Earth floating. You've seen it?
Yeah. We first we traveled to Umbala, the Umbala Plateau.
Shara glances at.
We saw it from there.
Does Aelin have the staff with him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shara glances at the staff when you say Umbala.
Mm-hmm. A noticeable kind of glance, or just like a I can tell sort of glance.
Yeah, just kind of a like I noticed kind of the kind of glance.
Yeah, we saw it flying over Eldani. It seemed to be spewing out noxiousness.
Hey, did I mishear? Did they say that it was south of here?
In the south of the Eldani.
Oh, okay. I was like, because it's like we thought it was way west of here.
Yeah, the princess would say, yes, we've sent emissaries to see if we could make contact with them. We do know her name, but she seems to have no interest in in us or our people. It's probably for the best, but I'm not. It is a complication and concern that so far, whatever they're seeking, they seem to be focusing their efforts on finding. And she kind of glances at Ashara, the Forbidden City as well.
Good job. What's her name?
This is another red wizard, you said?
Yeah, a female.
You nod. She's like, one Valindra Shadowmantle. But her motivations are unclear to us.
Oh, we're going to be back in that area. Sort of.
Yeah, that general.
And like as you guys are talking, like more food is brought in. You guys are like eating and drinking and stuff too.
Well, we know that we need to go to Oralunga.
Yep.
We haven't had any more nightmares lately, have we? Either, like after that one really bad one.
Not
Just
since
curious.
you left the port. When you had the nightmares in the port before you left, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Since then, no, you haven't. I mean, you would have had you probably would have had your typical dreams that you've been having, Blackman.
Yeah.
But the actual nightmares with those creatures and stuff,
Hags.
no, that hasn't reoccurred up to this point. Yeah.
Just thinking if that happened, I was like, maybe that would, but they left us alone so far. Maybe.
Ashara kind of turns and she's like, "Yes, Oralunga, Temple City," and the princess kind of says, almost like she's reciting from like a book. She's like, "Yes, the Temple City of Oralunga, seat of the guardian Saja Nbaza, also known to have oracular powers, fell some." She kind of pauses for a moment as if to think. It's like 60 years, and she looks at Ashara, and Ashara nods. 60 years before the fall of before the slave rebellions, it fell.
60 years before the rebellions. Okay.
She's like, and Ashara nods. She's like, "Yes, it was.
That was wild.
It was a vassal state. But it fell during the time of upheaval after the Ashaudan people, after Nisi's crusade. Inhabited mostly by the Ashau, it could never recover from his assault.
Excuse me.
And fell into ruins." She's like, "I'm aware of where it is located. I can assist you in getting there." And then she kind of looks back at the princess, and princess kind of nods to her, and she says, "That said, we would like, while the death curse hasn't afflicted our people nearly as much as some of the others in this land, and in your own homelands, as you say, it is obviously of great concern, particularly if it spreads. However, there is something, if you are intent on heading to the Forbidden City and heading to Oralunga and investigating this, and this is the first step in doing so, well, you are a beacon that we have not seen here in quite some time. A way forward, perhaps." And the princess kind of nods and she says, "I would ask of you a boon. Should you accept what I ask, we will promise to do everything and hold nothing back, everything in our power to get you where you need to be, to provide you with means and any information we possibly can.
Ooh,
Sure.
Sounds like a good
Yep.
trade.
I mean, could they
Partnership.
possibly want our
Your souls. No,
birdseed.
I have this
all the
little thing
birdseed
called
of
a
the world.
soulmonger.
I mean, whatever we could do to help, I can't see why that
I mean,
would be trouble.
That's kind of become a bit of our brand, I suppose. I mean, we're
Well,
I mean,
it's definitely what I've been led to through my dreams.
And she
Hopefully stop it.
She nods and she says, "Well, I don't expect an answer. You can stay here as long as you like, at least until the rains have passed." And T-Belt nods. He's like, "It may be weeks."
Aelin's just like,
Oh man, that's a shame.
The
Are you
princess,
sure?
The princess says, there is an item that was not able to be brought out of the city before it fell, and as far as we are aware, rests there still. She kind of pauses and says, "Teacher may provide some context to this, but there is a symbol of office the rulers of Chult possessed. Only one of the direct line from King Osa could drink from this chalice and survive, and all others would be instantly slain. In this way, royal blood could be proven." And she says, "It is known as the Skull Chalice," and I will type this for you. Not because Skull Chalice is hard to pronounce, but the next bit is, do my best.
Next bit.
I think it's pronounced Chikagare. The Skull Chalice of Chikagare. Chikagare.
Get Kyrie with it.
That's metal.
It's like one of the, and Ashara kind of nods and says, the chalice was forged from the decapitated head of one of the last warlords of Chult before the royal line was established. This tyrant, whose name has been stricken from records, it was incorporated into a cup, and it was blessed by Ubtao himself when he bestowed upon, and she points at the accoutrements that she's wearing, when he appointed the royal line of Chult. It's called the skull. No, Chikagare is not the name of the of the skull that's part of the cup. He's the name of the warrior that slew the tyrant and killed him and took his head. That's why it's called that. And then,
so they say.
And then the little boy, who at this point has just kind of been playing with his doll and just like stuffing his face, he kind of pipes up. He's like, "He's the one with that rode the golden mastodon into battle."
The warlord or the one who killed him?
He's like, "Chikagare.
Ah.
He rode a golden mastodon and could throw lightning bolts."
Wow.
And
I want to do that.
He's like, "Yeah, someday when I'm older, I'm going to get myself a mastodon too. I don't know if it'll be gold."
What color would you like it to be?
He's like,
What's your favorite color?
He's like, "Oh, kind of like looks over at at Ashara and T-Bolt and stuff. We're kind of like, the adults are talking here.
Wait, but was the mastodon born gold, or did they make it gold?
He's like,
Well,
the boy's just kind of like, blue, probably blue.
No, pay
was it-
attention.
didn't we see a gold dinosaur when we were in the temple? Wasn't it
What?
gold? The Tyrannosaurus in the jungle, in the temple, in the prayer room of. Archie would know it off the top of her head.
Of one of the beret?
Yeah, one of the Beret's prayer rooms. It wasn't it a
Naha
golden...
seems to have lost all interest in this conversation and is going back to playing with his toys.
Pay attention. I need to know.
Oh, nah.
In Oshano's prayer.
Answer me.
Nah.
Swear to me.
Swear to me.
Malar.
Malar's throat.
Naylor's throat was not golden. We were there.
No. Okay, no, not Malar. Oshano. Anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So, you're saying that as long as if we eventually make it to the Forbidden City, we can find this chalice and bring it back, you'll agree to assist in whatever way you can. Is that correct?
Princess nods and she's like, that is correct. I give you my word that should you aid me, knowing the full ramifications of this, if I have the chalice, I can prove who I am, and it will give me a legitimate claim to the throne of this land. This may cause war. Many could die.
Oh.
She's like, however, it will mean the reformation of what this land once represented. It will mean a central power to withstand foreign influence, colonization, and perhaps, in time, the ability to rebuild what has been lost and retake our jungle from these foul creatures that infest it.
Yeah. I mean, it's yours. Who are we to deny any sort of, anything like that? If we came across it, if we find it, we have no right to withhold that.
Yeah, I think this is a great form of government, drinking from cups.
It's magic, man.
I mean, yeah, if it kills everybody that isn't, I mean, it's a great way to weed out the competition, I guess.
I know. Yeah, like when I was, talking.
They all died. See.
When I was talking earlier about, someone coming along and just saying, "Hey, this is my throne," I hadn't factored a magic cup that actually proves it into it. So, yeah.
Just a cup that somebody made a story up about that nobody will drink from because they don't want to die.
Exactly.
I knew it was old man Williamson. He did it for the land.
He would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for those pesky kids.
She kind of stands up. I imagine there's like time passing in between these conversations and other things and stuff, but she would stand up a little bit later, and as Prince Na has kind of curled up in the corner and seems to be like snoozing, she's like, "It is getting late. Thank you for joining me. I don't think you think on it, and if you choose to do this for me, knowing full well what it could mean for this land and the peoples here, knowing full well that you doing so is, well, tacitly choosing a side in the politics of this land. If you choose to do so, we'll do everything we can, but I'd rather you think on it. Talk amongst yourselves, understand what you're doing, and let us know."
Princess, before you go, just one request. I will stand up and I'll grab my glass and I'll be like, not all of us are here today. Some of us didn't make it through the fight. This drink is for Gorthax. First in our hearts, -1 in our scorebooks. And I'm going to take out my scorebook and I'm going to cross out his name.
The princess doesn't seem to understand what that means, but she nods. She's like, "Yes, of course. He fought in defense of strangers and our people here." And she kind of nods and raises her glass as well, as do Ashara and T-Bolt.
Here.
I'll drink one for myself and one for Gorgax.
Gorgax didn't get his name right. Gorgax.
I just slap. Boom, boom.
And Azaka.
Good old what's his face? I won't forget him.
Good old what's his face? Yeah. So she nods after.
I'll never forget him.
After drinking, and she says, "Well, I'll leave you to it. Feel free to stay and discuss, but I will be heading to bed." And she goes over and kind of like picks up Nah and kind of just like carries him. And she kind of smiles and nods to you all as she departs. Ashara says she kind of like does that thing where she like politely sits back and like makes small talk and stuff, but it's obvious that you're not going to get any further information until you make your decision. So it's kind of like that polite, like, finish up your after dinner drinks and eats and then, go to bed so we can go to bed kind of, when dinner parties go slightly too long, it's kind of the vibe you're getting.
Like, yes, take your time, she says.
Yeah, she doesn't want to be rude and kick you out.
Take my money!
Does anybody want to play charades?
Ooh.
No.
I have shape water.
The jackal? The jackal.
I've got shape water prepared today. I'm great.
We could get a quick game of Monopoly and before
a quick game of Monopoly.
I
don't want to play a round of Trivial Pursuit. That game never lasts for 6 hours.
Monopoly is the one thing that triggers my orc rage.
That's how the Blackwood becomes a barbarian. A month of Monopoly.
Origin stories.
I hate capitalism.
So
I fucking hate this game.
Yeah, we don't overstay our welcome. We would filter out.
Okay.
I'd imagine.
Well, like I said, time will pass here in the ways that you guys have already talked about. But at some point in the next day or two, probably after having some conversations, what ultimately you guys have. I mean, you guys can have the conversation. Obviously, if people have different opinions on what to do, but what do you guys think about the offer and everything?
Archie's in. 100%.
To be immediate action again, to be taken right away, or is it doesn't matter when we get, but we do probably plan on it no matter what, or I do. Definitely.
Yeah, she didn't give you any sort of time.
I agree.
It wasn't do this right now and no matter what before anything else. It was just a matter of if you go there and bring this to her, they'll help you in whatever way they can, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's not an expectation to drop everything and do it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a promise of if we get there, this is what we will do. They'll help us if we promise to do so.
Damn it, we hit the main plot line quest and it advanced everything and it screwed everything.
Yeah, all those side quests you guys didn't do, they fall off now. It's too late. No.
They're failed.
Chapter 2.
I am certainly interested in helping with this. As long as we all understand and agree that, she kind of said it, we are making a choice. We are kind of choosing a quote-unquote side. It's a side that it seems right to me, but if we go back to the port, we have to go with the understanding that if, we get asked about where we were, who we met, where are we going, what are we doing, we
We
really
meant no
can't let this come up, because I think that it would
Yeah.
only result in bad things.
Yeah, no, it means keeping it to ourselves.
Yes.
Why?
There's like one person I can think of that says a lot of information.
I don't know what you're talking about.
What do you think, Galen?
Anyways, besides the point. He's
Well,
probably right. I do believe discretion is better, because if somebody else catches wind of it, they might start to preemptively trying to stop it. And I think in the long run, personally, that having them form under one would be better in the long run than having the flaming fist and whatnot tearing this place to pieces in the long run. At least this is their land, their world, their jungle.
I mean, we were planning on going to the Forbidden City regardless and trying to do what we can to cleanse it. So that's already, a step in the right direction for the princess. I think we and nobody else that's come here in recent years has any right to deny the will of the land. I think there's been a lot of good that's come out of the peninsula opening up, and there's a lot of potential for learning and development and teaching, and it could go the other way too, with Chultans visiting the mainland and bringing information back if they want to. I would hope that should we go through with this and she becomes queen, that would be something that she considers, that while the presence of the Flaming Fist and eventually probably the Gilded Eye would not be wanted, that there can be good that comes from what's happening in the port and from opening up to outsiders to an extent, respectfully. That's all. I agree, and I'm with everybody. I think this is the right thing to do, but I just hope that this war is going to be inevitable, and I hope that the people that are fighting against her are the ones that shouldn't be here in the first place, and not the ones who could help, if that makes sense.
Sure.
I don't know how I feel about... She seems like she wants to go to war. She said a lot of people are going to die.
I don't know that she wants to. I think she just acknowledges that it's going to happen.
She believes it's inevitable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Inevitably
doubt,
with...
I doubt that she thinks that, I really want to, I really want a lot of people to die, so let's do this thing. It's more of I need to take my rightful place and unify the continent and bring about, our,
a lot of people.
Ancient, beliefs, and unfortunately, there will be a lot of people that will be resistant to that idea.
A lot of people need to die.
It's a tricky situation. I don't. But the alternative is that that Chult is not reunified, and the current state of things gets worse.
And then a lot of people end up dying anyway.
Indeed.
Yes. I mean, a lot of people are dying now already. Chult is currently in a very tumultuous state. And if she has the rightful claim, then as outsiders, I don't think it's our right not to try and withhold that for any reason of our own. It's not our choice,
Whose choice is it?
The people who live here, who are from here, who live here, who are, the Chultans. If it's there, if they choose not to accept her, that's their choice. If they choose to, that's also their choice.
I agree.
I
think she has it backwards. She said she's going to unite the country and then deal with all the problems. I think she should deal with the problems to unite the country. But I guess that's why I can't drink from a cup. That's going to kill you.
Well,
that's how we determine government pulls swords out of lakes.
Maybe we find out more about this by some tart in the lake.
Part of it is also that there's foreign influence that doesn't want Chult to be united either. So it's not just fighting within themselves; it's also, potentially
that was an
expelling the foreign influence that's
I get it.
Trying to take it.
It seems like she feels she deserves this rather than she wants to earn it. She looks like she's going a shortcut. Like, give me this cup, there, maybe we'll.
Well,
isn't that monarchy in a nutshell?
We can find them.
Yeah, but I don't like monarchy. We're not monarchs in my little thing. We have a weekly monarch who gets rotated out in a bi-weekly presiding body made of elders. They report to the council of old men. Yeah, exactly. Definitely a better way of choosing this.
Well, why don't we propose that?
Okay. I'll work on.
Let's
draft up a proposal.
My other.
Sorry, Ryan, what were you saying?
Oh, I was saying that maybe we should try to research more about the skull chalice of Chikara, because maybe if we learn more about this thing, we'll understand more what it is. Though,
sure,
maybe as it sits, it sounds legit, but maybe we should try to find out more about this thing, and maybe, in fact, there's hidden stuff to it.
Yeah. My other part of why I'm in for this is because now that I don't know, I know it's kind of weird, but our mom being a Bray kind of puts me on their side. I know she didn't raise us, and it doesn't actually mean anything, but finally knowing a part of where we're from and why we were, given up, I think it gives me a certain amount of peace, and I think this would be the side they'd want, like the Bray and our mom, and that kind of makes me want it to be my side too.
I think that's more than enough.
By blood, we are part of us is from here. For all we know, we were born here. I really want to know about that. Where's the artist go?
Who?
I don't know. It's history.
Maybe someday artists will make another appearance.
Campaign 4.
Campaign 4.
You know,
well, it sounds like everybody's in agreement that you guys are going to accept that. So as a group, then, will you, after discussing all of this, will you go and accept so that you can then take advantage of whatever else they can provide you for assistance on your other journeys and everything else with Orlunga and all that?
That's what Archie would like to do, especially given she wants to spend her time here researching a lot of things, like, and I think she feels that's the only way she's going to get access to any of that knowledge.
Yeah,
is to do this earlier rather than later.
And I would like to know, in gently as possible, what the princess's plans for places like Port Ninezar would be if she became queen. Because if we do go back there and we're trying to not talk about what we're planning on doing, it would be easier to talk about it or talk around it if we're going into it expecting that there's not going to be some massive upheaval and that the merchant princes will still have some, either the current power that they have or some semblance of what they have, versus getting completely wiped out based on whatever the new regime is.
Sure.
Respectfully.
Will she be a benevolent god?
So a lunch sit down to go over some of the finer details.
What are her intentions
with the
with
current
my
information? With our current information, I think it goes in our. It works with us.
Yeah.
Unless we find out she's some kind of cosmically evil offspring or something like that. What are the chances of that?
With the information we currently have.
Yeah.
Well,
future information can always change what happens.
What is her intention?
Yeah.
Basically.
Where's her army? Is she just going to make the Flaming Fist just drink from the cup one at a time? Don't you think after like the fifth person, the sixth one will be like, no,
well, that's why I want to know more about this chalice, honestly, because maybe there's more to the chalice than what we're getting. Maybe who drinks from the chalice.
I think that information
maybe
is
it's
going to
not
come from not here.
No, it's not. That's what I say. If we could find out more about it somehow.
If we're stopping back at port, we can try doing some research there with like the library and stuff. If this is a known thing that's been around for a while, you're right. There should be information on it.
I'd maybe try to keep the research on a DL though, because looking for it openly might draw unwanted attention as well, possibly.
I'm an archaeologist. I look into all sorts of relics, so I'll like look up some other ones at the same time. Throw them all.
I want to learn
together.
about these 15 different mythological relics, and one of them happens to be the skull chalice. Yeah.
Right. That's what I mean.
That's smart.
As an archaeologist, that's
turns out one of the other 15 is super sensitive, and assassins kill Archie in the library. No, one of your decoy ones turns out to be even worse.
That's why I have my posse.
Okay, well, after we'll call it. So yeah, if you guys would ask her just kind of more details. Right now, essentially, you probably get the sense that they are holding back some information until they get like an affirmative that you'll help them. However, the princess would say that she doesn't wish harm on any of the merchant princes, and she says like any government will require, a queen, a king can't run a country alone. So they'll all have places. They have knowledge and skills. There will still be trade with outside of Chult. All of their services and expertise will be needed. Any that would, like, she's hoping for more of a smooth transition of power she doesn't know if that will be possible with
Flaming
all of them.
Fist probably will.
Yeah, but the merchant princes themselves, like the port, I mean, she recognizes the port is the current seat of power in Chult, and while she may not make, if they can reclaim Omu or Mesro, if it's cleansed as best as possible as a new seat of power, or the old seat of power restored, but that she expects will take many years, maybe not even her lifetime, right? So for now, the port, she's not planning on destroying the port. She'd like it to be fully operational, and at least in the interim become the seat of power, and therefore she'll need all of the bureaucrats and all of the politicians. Like she doesn't expect to be, she's not trying to be a dictator or a tyrant. She'll need a court, if you will, to run things, ministers and things, to do the day-to-day governing of the city.
And to be fair, it's not like any one of them rules now, so...
And as far as armies and such, I mean, for her, it's a difficult thing because there's a lot of... I mean, you guys haven't really seen a lot of it, but there's a lot of people in Chult that don't live in Port Nyanzaru as well. Like, there's villages up and down the coasts. There's people who live in the jungles, not where the undead infest primarily, but there's civilizations, and there's also other peoples like the Aarakokra, like the Grungs, like the like Azaka's, the Tortles, the Azaka's tribes. There's people, the Batiri potentially. I mean, they're native Chultans. They're goblins, but she's not on a crusade to wipe out any of these races. Ideally, she'd like to unify them all. So she knows she has some allies. There's other Aarakokra tribes and flocks throughout Chult that she could hope to rally to her cause, as well as others. All of that will take a lot of time, and the first step is to have a legitimate claim and have it known after that. And she would say that, again, they kind of allude to, but don't say straight out, that they do have some support in the port. But she doesn't really name anything or say anything about what that could mean exactly.
Port.
But yeah, so I don't know if that answers your guys' questions about that, but
I think that'll make it easier if we need to talk about things in the port, and if we don't want to say exactly what we're trying to do, that our intended course of action is not going to be a detriment to the port or to the merchant princes, and leave it at that.
It means we don't have to lie.
Yeah.
I think, or what do you guys feel about like talking about some of this to the Yetepka Society? Like, how much do we want to share with them? I'm thinking that might be their port support, but maybe not.
I would lean on, unless we absolutely need to, I would lean on not bringing it up.
We could.
Well, the one guy's a half gold dragon, which is
we could bring it up in terms of getting what their opinion on it is without telling them any of this. Just say, like, we heard a rumor that there is a royal heir still out there, which we did. I've known that since we were in port.
Yeah, that was a rumor you heard on the streets of the port. Yeah, early in the campaign.
So this rumor is out there. So we could just bring up that we heard the rumor, ask their opinion on it, and see where they stand. Sure. They seem to be for the best interests of Chult, so
sure.
It seems like it's something that would probably fall in line with them. It's something we could float in a specific way.
Well, it's the only society people that we probably, the closest we come to that, like having a group that we kind of can trust.
Well, I mean, you guys joined them.
Yeah.
You are Yetepka. You guys joined their organization, or did you all? I can't remember if you all
trust
did,
ourselves.
Yeah. Hey, what about
I'm
the hand signal? What if we do the hand signal here? Maybe they'll recognize.
I'm looking at it from the perspective of, if us 6 are the ones that are here and agreeing to this, not specifically, all of the organization. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So
Yeah, you don't speak on behalf of the Utepka here.
exactly, and therefore we can't make, promises on their behalf, and therefore
Do we not have? There's a hand signal, isn't it?
It's not our. It's not. The princess's information is not necessarily ours for us to spread around. I'm saying if it might come up, then where it's necessary to do so. I'm just saying in general.
I think we just make a blanket statement. Let's just not say anything to anybody about it unless we have to. That's it.
I don't think that's what he was implying. I think he was sort of like, floating. See there. At least what I got from what Ryan said was seeing how they feel about it.
I
not
got
necessarily spilling.
I got the impression it's like, oh, let's share this information with the Utepka.
To a certain degree, anyways. But I mean, we also have a hand signal that's supposed to identify us between each other.
We've also got the coins. We've also got the coins.
Yeah, you got the tokens as well. Yeah.
If we just kind of
I mean, if your character wants to do
have
that,
one out,
has
one out in the open to see if they recognize it.
Yeah. Do you want to?
It as...
Do you want to show it to
I
who?
Put one up. To probably who do you? Well,
oops. I dropped my coin.
Helping this.
Yeah.
Oops.
So, do you want to show it to Princess Ashara, T-Bolt? Those are the named people you know here.
Princess Ashara. I want to show it to Nah.
Wander around flashing gang signs to all the
and Nah.
Or the princess.
What do you think of this?
So, start playing with the coin. Want to see a magic trick? See?
I say, we were gonna have. We were saying we were gonna have lunch to go over specifics. They're all here, so.
Yeah. Do you want to do that, Blackman?
Knuckle game with the coin.
Oh, so not throw the symbol, but just have the coin out so they can see it, obviously, kind of.
But I'll fidget with the coin.
Sure. In front
but
of.
I'll fidget with it like you know how you knuckle roll. Knuckle roll a coin or something.
Yeah. So what? Sorry, you want to do that in front of all of the 3 of them, like during the lunch kind of thing?
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Closed group, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
It's only certain people here, right? So it's not like everyone in town.
Give me give me insight checks in tower, all of you, or anyone who's at that lunch.
What?
Do that. Insight checks in the tower.
Sorry, which one though?
Insight.
Use Proka.
Insight in the tower.
I keep trying. I keep
insight.
Okay.
Insight.
Yeah, I just kept on getting it. Tower.
Okay. It's just funny. I'm just like.
That's all I was
literally
for
said
a while,
it like 6 times.
Spit it out.
Did I stutter?
Yeah, you did.
My insight's not picking it up. What is it?
Okay, so
I think I did the roll. Yeah, I did.
So probably after the lunch, because nothing is super apparent during the lunch, but afterwards when you have a chance to kind of like reconfer a little bit more amongst yourself, unless you decide you would say something like right out loud. Aelin, you're the only one that picks up on anything. Otherwise, to the rest of you, it looks like you could have had any other coin there. But Aelin, you notice that the princess definitely, although she hides it very well, definitely recognizes that symbol and that coin, but she does not give away anything. but she definitely like you noticed that she glances at it.
coin!
Yeah, you notice she glances at it several times, and it's obvious to you. Well, it's not obvious to you. Like she's pretty good, surprisingly. She's really good at hiding it, but you do pick up on it. The rest of you could have been any other coin. Nothing out of the ordinary. No reaction.
Nope.
Oh shit, that was the wrong coin. No.
Oh, that was one of the Omu and
gold
Mithril pieces.
Omu ones.
But yeah, but like after the lunch, because you guys, I mean, like I said, time, there's several different days here, so you could have had another lunch with them to discuss more specifics, what they're, went away from that before even actually making your decision. So Aelin, you could share that with the group afterwards that you noticed that she noticed.
At the second lunch, Blackman's wearing like a Utepka t-shirt.
I'm a Utepka member. Ask me anything.
Friendly neighborhood.
I got the color of the blood on me.
Just get progressively more blatant with it until someone's like, "Okay, we get it."
Yeah,
But-
I would let everyone know that it seemed like the princess was familiar with the symbol, but I couldn't tell if it was a positive or negative thing, but she was definitely aware of the Utepka Society. And given that, she's been here her entire life, it's probably a good thing, because how else would they have connected? And then, I don't know, seems like if she knows of them, it's probably positive.
Symbol is one thing, but having the coin, the actual coin, is another, I think. Unless you killed somebody for it.
Well, remember that those coins are given out as warnings to people that have crossed them too. Right? The coins are given out as warnings to people. So if you have a coin, but granted, you probably wouldn't just be playing with it out in the open if you'd received one of those coins as a warning.
I thought there was a hand
Maybe.
signal.
There's a hand signal as well.
There is.
But I thought it was the coin we had was like where we had something to identify us as part of the group. I thought.
Yeah, the hand signal is the secret symbol. The coin is
We'll know soon enough.
Yeah, because the coin is like it's given to people from the Utepka as a sign of warning. So you guys were given those, under the understanding.
Were they warning us?
No, they gave them to you. You guys are allowed to warn people.
We get to. We can.
So, but if someone saw someone else with one of those coins, if they knew what the coin meant, they could take that either as, oh, maybe they're a member of the Utepka because they have it, or maybe they've crossed the Utepka and that's why they have it, or maybe they just found it and they don't know that they crossed the Utepka, or maybe, you know what I mean? Like, it's really hard to tell unless someone knew specifically what the context of having that coin is. That's why it's very difficult to read.
For coins for the different.
Yeah, well, it's not really a coin. It's more of like an iron. It's like an
coin.
iron token, but it's like roughly. It's a little bit larger than coin size, right? But it's not really a coin.
I do the horn thing to everybody, like, yo, what's up? Yo, what's up?
If she recognized it, should we just ask her opinion on the Utepka Society? Say we've had some connections with them in the port, asking if we should trust them.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I mean? They might. If she recognizes it, she might have more information. You know
She
what I
might
mean?
come to us now that she saw it either, or she'll send somebody after us.
Well, that's what I'd like to avoid. I'd like to clear it up. You did
Let's
the test.
kill this village.
You did the test. She recognized it. So what's the downside of just asking? I guess.
Nothing. I think let's just ask her.
Sure. So at a third lunch, we still haven't made
a
your
nonchalant signal. The hand signal.
Yeah, if you want to flash the
Poker in the
symbol,
eye.
yeah, if you want to flash the hand sign, that's
key.
cool. If you just ask them straight out, then
unless somebody stops her, Archie is going to just ask straight out.
Yeah.
Sure.
If nobody says don't do this, she's doing it.
Sure.
Because I was saying we probably shouldn't just. You don't want to ask straight out. That's why they gave us the hand signal. did they not? So
Oh yeah, but
At least
we did
the hand
the
signal-
coin thing, and clearly she recognized it. So
I mean, you could.
yeah,
I mean, you could flash the hand signal before
'Cause it's
saying.
not like the
See how she
Tech,
responds to the hand signal before asking straight out.
sure, that sure.
Sure.
I mean,
Kills you. No.
because
She.
just talking about it, it's not like Utepka is unknown, like the name in society itself. It's weird. So.
Well, when you
yeah.
so okay, so how does this go down? Because you guys sit down for another meal with them, which is fine. It's not like you guys are having like formal meetings. It's not like a business meeting. You sit down with another meal with them. You know,
Second
just
breakfast.
making small talk on another day, and you flash her the Utepka symbol, like the hand signal. So this is more of an overt, like only Utepka members would know what this means kind of symbol. Much different than just showing the coin, right?
As long as yeah,
Because a lot of people know what the coin means in
As long as
various
they can make sure
contexts, but
everybody-
the hand signal is an unknown thing unless you know what it means. So you flash the symbol. Now, I mean, you guys can tell me how this plays out, but you flash the symbol. She would very nonchalantly flash it back to you, Blackwin. But she's going to do it in a way to try not to alert the others in your party that she's doing it. So she'll make a sleight of hand check. Okay, you guys want to?
Was it perception?
Yeah,
Perception?
give me a perception. Yeah, but you don't know when Blackwin's going to do it.
Sure.
Right?
That's why I was thinking it would be an active check versus passive.
Yeah, Baz, you see it for sure. You rolled a 27 perception.
I can see everything.
Archie is sitting there waiting.
He's
for it.
he's sitting
Still doesn't
near
see
the
it.
table.
She's just like,
Yeah,
"Is
the rest of you actually don't see it. I mean, Blackwin, you see it because she does it when you're looking, but the rest of you don't actually see it. You don't see her flash it back to him, but Baz, you definitely do. Like, no. So you might not have actually seen Blackwin flash it to her, but you knew he was going to, so you were kind of you were like, mm-hmm. And yeah, at some point in the meal, probably when there's some sort of distraction or whatever, maybe people are reaching for like whatever, you see her kind of like reach for something, but she very quickly and very smoothly, like very like low key, but obviously, she flashes it back to Blackwin. But Blackwood, other than that, she doesn't even break conversation. Like it's just supernatural.
Does Blackwin see it?
Blackwin, yes, she did it deliberately when he was. Yes.
Is it just us and the princess, or is like Ashar and Tybalt and other people there?
Yeah, there'll be other Aarakokra around and.
Okay.
Cool. That's good to know. That's information to make her more trustworthy, I guess. At least from what we understand.
So you guys finish lunch, take that back,
These lunches
and discuss
are
it amongst
great.
yourselves again, or?
Yep.
Time for another lunch.
And we have to go back to that lunch.
You guys are here
Well,
for weeks. You can take your
And
time.
I'm hoping
with
now
this, right?
she'll at least talk to us more openly
I
about
would say,
stuff.
okay.
I'm not sure how much.
I would say at some point we will.
She knows that I'm part of it.
At some point we can have a private conversation with her, and I think all we really need to know from this thing is, are you like we're Utepka members? If it happens to come up that we want to we need some help in the port researching, can they be trusted with your secret? That's essentially all we need to know,
Yeah.
right?
So. I think she. So you guys go away from the first lunch. Baz, you're like, and Blackwin, you're like, yeah, she's totally it. So Blackwin, you're like, well, now she knows that I'm a Utepka member. She doesn't know the rest of you are. We know that she knows the symbol, which means that's a good sign, right?
Yeah.
Later.
I guess if Blackwind could get her, if we wanted to keep the facade, Blackwind could do it.
Sure.
On his own.
Yeah, regardless of who does
conversation.
it, I think that's generally the crux of the entire purpose of this.
Sure.
Yeah. So, which brings me to an interesting thing, because so later, you guys are doing your own things, and bear in mind that you guys still don't have free reign access to their living quarters in Ashar's building, right? After you left that one night, you haven't been allowed back up there. And that's primarily where she's been, other than the meals you've been taking. You can't just go up and go, hey, I'm going to talk to the princess and go up to her room, right? But later that day after this lunch, and you guys discuss and go, okay, well, maybe Blackwind should approach her directly. Maybe we should now. We know that, the jig is up kind of thing. Well, later that night, actually, Blackwind, you would be interrupted from whatever you're doing at some point when you're alone. Maybe you're in your room, and maybe you're... I mean, there's not a lot of places to go, to quite frankly, like that you have access to. But
He's in the middle of tattooing Baz.
yeah,
I remember.
you're putting away your tattoo needles from working on Baz that day, cleaning them and stuff in your quarters. When there is a, actually give me a quick perception check.
Blackwood gets stabbed in the back.
Yeah, you won't notice this, but there is a tap on your shoulder, and you kind of like stab at the air behind. No, hopefully you turn around. And you see the princess literally materializing out of thin air.
Whoa.
She's really into you.
And
Stealthy.
It's a witch.
she says, she kind of in like a low voice, she says, apologies, I didn't mean to startle you. She's like, I was not expecting a member of the Tepka to be here. We could have saved ourselves a lot of time knowing. She's like, did they send you here? Or do your companions know?
Not specifically, no. They do know. They're part of it with me. If I took,
and at this point, she kind of just like throws her head back and kind of laughs. And she's like, this whole time, all of you, and the other people who are like in their rooms would hear her voice. Like she drops all pretense of stealth at this point, and she just kind of like laughs. And she's like, I wish you had said something when we first met. She's like, but they didn't send you.
It's not exactly something we think to show all the time.
We
were actually just... I got a feeling that you might be, so I took the chance to see if... But as opposed to everybody trying to show and whatnot.
And she kind of like looks at you and like thinks for a moment, and she's like, so you must be relatively new then, new members.
Yes.
She's like,
in fact, probably I don't think we were indoctrinated into it too long before we left.
Like
we worked with them a little bit.
Yeah, like a half hour before we left the port. Yeah.
Yeah, by a half an hour.
And she nods. She's like, she's like, so coincidentally, you show up here. Well, I mean, at least I know it. I can trust you then, if I didn't before.
Yeah.
She's like, well then, she's like, come, she's like, it's not that late, and let's meet in the common room, all of us again. We have more to discuss, much more.
Us too.
Is there anybody else? Like, is the rest of your the people that join us with her for all the dinners, are they part of the group as well, or is it just her?
She's like, most of the people here don't know anything about it, nor do they need to. But Teacher and T-Balt both are fully aware. So.
Okay.
And she would kind of like gesture.
Good to know.
She's like,
I agree, though. I wish we kind of thought of it earlier.
She's like, wow.
Out of character, I actually kind of forgot about showing the symbol all in oath, and it came back to me. I'm like, oh, what about that?
Yeah, she would kind of call for you all to kind of gather in the temple room or in the side room there. And she's like, and she's just kind of, obviously you guys know what was going down, like, and everything, so it's not. But she's like, yes, well, it's fortuitous that the group of you happen to have joined or made contact with the Atepka up until this point. She's like, but they obviously didn't tell you anything about me, which means you are new. But
we are new.
If they trusted you enough, she's like, then
we didn't exactly plan on coming all the way here right last time we were in the port either, though. So
Well, and that's a credit to them that they don't tell brand new members about you.
She's
Yeah,
like,
I mean, we were struggling to.
I think it's a
decide
need to know
whether,
basis.
You know, it was even a good idea to
Tell them.
to tell them what we found. We were like, well, I mean, it's not really necessarily our news to break.
Yeah.
So, but if you're a member or you know them, then clearly that's not a big deal.
and she kind of smiles when you say that, Bash. She's like, well, I guess by default I'm a member. The Utepka Society serves the royal bloodline of Chult. They always have.
I see. Well, so I guess that we're still figuring all this out. Yeah, we're eager to help and learn, but yeah.
She's like, so does this mean you'll accept my offer? Or our offer?
I mean,
We were in agreement to help no matter what.
Oh yeah, I thought we
Before,
already
anyways,
had.
but it was just
Yeah. We
No,
didn't talk about
up
lunch.
to this point, you still had clarifications all the way up to this point about what they were planning and what they were doing.
we'll say that this was the moment.
Yeah.
Sure.
As
Good
under
arc.
he's just like, I've been in for 3 days, and
I mean, we are members of the Utepka.
we were really pushing for those breakfasts, though.
Yeah.
members of loyal.
we already accepted it without knowing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and she nods. She's like, well, that's a relief. Yes, I will tell teacher and T-Bolt in the morning. I'm sure that they will do everything in their power to help you with anything you need while you're here, and for your journey ahead. And she says, and she kind of smiles, and she kind of like, for the first time since you met her, she seems to slightly relax a little bit. Like, it's not like she was like super uptight before, but she was very formal a lot of the time, and very kind of like cautious. But she seems to kind of like let that drop slightly, not a lot. She doesn't like suddenly become like let's be best friends kind of thing.
Cut loose from.
Yeah, but you can almost see like a little bit sense of like relief in her. And she says, so I'm not sure who all you've met. The Utepka have a significant presence in the port, but I will let you know, because if you're going to help me with this, you need to know. The merchant prince Xanthi is a member of the Utepka. She is our primary
Which one? Sorry.
source in the port. She keeps
Xanthi.
Xanthi. Between her and her resources and the rest of the Utepka, with her influence, we are hoping that if I can, she's been trying to bring the sentiment around to restoring the monarchy. She hasn't gone so far as to present it officially to the people, but I do know that she, for one, will support me. And hopefully, as she has a good working relationship with Wakanga, he will as well. The others I'm not so sure about. Coyote, Jobal, Ifan. I don't know if any of them will support my claim. Ifan, I see, perhaps will, but I can't say for sure. Coyote has, and Jobal have a strong, I don't know, I feel that they might be the most resistant to the idea. Jessamine is an enigma to us, and who's the last one? Someone help me.
Coyote Akene?
Akene. Akene, she believes will support. She's been always, even before, she's been a strong supporter of, even when the Merchant Council was forming, she, even back then, before the merchant princes were a thing, when they were deciding how to govern themselves, she was a voice that supported a monarchy instead of a council. She was outvoted, but because nobody had a claim then, or not a
Hmm.
legitimate claim. We still don't, I guess, not until we have the chalice. The common people and the other merchant princes, they won't accept it, but I think with the chalice, they may fall in line. If we can get even half of them, I think the rest will fall in line. Anyways, I thought you should know.
Merchant Prince, how do you spell that one? Just because I keep...
Yeah.
Or just if you could drag a clicker because...
Dante.
Good lord. Fancy, there we go.
ZNT.
Because I'm putting it under the Yetepka.
And she's also the one that
Yeah, you've never
controls all
spelled
of
it
the...
for us.
Xanthi is the eldest, you know that. Just I don't know how much you guys remember what the merchant prince is, but Xanthi is the eldest. She controls the gem trade, which means
Yeah.
she has a vast amount of wealth and trade power.
I'm trying to meet with her.
Well, and this is Liz asking. We know her son Shago was rumored to have hooked up with Jessamine's daughter. Is Shago the one who was off working with the Flaming Fist?
Yes, correct.
Interesting. So the the son of the Uteca member is working with the Flaming Fist.
Well, he has a spy,
Yeah.
I would guess then.
Or he doesn't know.
Or a double agent.
Yeah. It's just okay. I just wanted to confirm that because I hadn't noted it. So I just...
Double, triple agent. Oh my god.
Well, I mean, with that out in the open, and you guys having agreed, maybe we'll move ahead timeline-wise, because she'll tell. I mean, Ashara and T-Bolt will be very happy, and they will open up their whatever you guys need now. So your training, all the skill, all the stuff we talked about earlier, you guys can go through whatever you need to do here. I mean, a lot of that you could have done even if you didn't accept this. Like, they're not going to kick you out if you say no, or will they? But you guys, I would say though that timeline wise, so we'll say that by the time you guys like accept like all of this is probably like on the 4th of Tarsak. A few days have passed. You've been doing other things as well during this time. I know you've got a thing on the 10th, Jonah. However, just before that, I had one thing that occurs before that, so we'll fast forward a little bit to that, because this happens on the 8th of Tarsak. I mean, actually, maybe before I get to that, there's a couple just notes I wanted to say. During your time here, one of the things that you'll get to know. I mean, we're not, like I said, I'm not going to roleplay a month of you guys in Kir Sabal, because you know we got a game to play. But you know, yeah, you would spend a lot of time here. You would get to know, because you'd be spending a lot of time with them, because there's not a lot of space, and there's a lot of days where you're cooped up inside and can't leave because it's like literally hurricanes for like days on end. Not always hurricanes, but very intense storms and rain. Yeah, the prince, there's not a lot to say. He's a very inquisitive and very smart boy. I think he would be delighted with Jonah's little contraptions and stuff. He'd probably like hanging around, even though Jonah obviously is not a child. He's the closest thing to a child, really, that Nas had about, really, because Aarakokra, they go from like hatchlings to nearly full grown in like a year. Like they don't spend a lot of time physically as children, like little, and when they are, they're pretty much like babies until they can like fly and stuff. Oh, sorry, Brad, I see your hand. What's up?
That's okay. I just before we move on too quickly, I was AFK while Archie was having our little conversation with him. When he was asking about me, what was he actually saying?
He asked what you were.
Okay.
And so I explained that you were a Loxodon, which you were kind of like an elephant,
Okay.
but you know, you're to elephants like Aarakokra are to parrots. Because he asked if you were a pet.
Okay. Gotcha.
So I was trying to explain that you were your own sentient being and not
he
a
didn't
pet.
seem like scared or anything like that.
No, I said, you know, that you could. I told him that you could make really delicious meals.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Then I was gonna say
Meal.
that, you know, over that time, and I would say this is just in general across the whole time, I would probably make it a point to, you know, spend some time with and play with Na, because I noticed that he took notice of me, and maybe he's curious, and you know, I think Baz would want to, you know, have some fun with him.
Yeah, Archie would join in with that. She'd use shape water and minor illusion to play and create funny things.
Yeah. He's not super interested in you guys, to be honest.
Oh, okay,
Sure.
Then never mind.
Mainly because I mean, he's kind of. Actually, one thing that you would note, like if you were like showing him some magic stuff, he would seem interested, but he wouldn't seem all that like, ooh, that's crazy. It's just kind of like, oh, you do magic too? Okay.
Sure.
But Jonah's little like contraptions, like those are like toys, right? So he's like all over that. And so he would be hanging around other than like when you're like working in the gardens and stuff, he would probably be hanging out as much as he could, as much as Jonah would stand him hanging out. I don't know how friendly Jonah is with kids, so
Yeah, absolutely. Come on, got a new pal.
Why don't you join me for some meditation sometime?
Yeah, he's like, no thanks, Mr. Aylin. He walks away.
Danger.
Aylin, you would spend a lot of time probably with T-Bolt and the other monks, just like training and things like you said. But as the time goes by, the princess doesn't open up a ton, like on a personal level to you guys, but you do get the sense that she does carry herself with a bit more. She seems a bit more upbeat, as she kind of like learns more about you guys and your capabilities and stuff. On the 8th, however, on the 8th of Tarsak, there is an event that occurs. There is a brief break in the weather. This is probably one of the first days. Maybe there might have been one other day earlier than this. It's probably one of the first days you've actually been able to like leave Kir Sabal and like go down and, you know, stretch your legs a bit. Maybe look for some Kaith and other things. Actually, I'll get to that in a sec. But maybe go to see a couple of those ruins that are at the edge of the swamp and that kind of stuff. Nothing that's crazy, but it's interesting enough, and it gets you out of the monastery for at least a little bit. Those of you who wanted to go, others might stay behind. I don't know. But one of the things that happens on this day before the rains start up, and Donnacwyn would be well aware that the rains are going to start up, and they're going to be pretty fierce later on in the day. But in the morning, anyways, you get a brief reprieve. The heat kind of comes back because it's been quite a bit cooler with all the rain. But and unfortunately, the bugs come back with a vengeance when the rain lets up. But you guys have insect salve and shit, so you're okay. But there is, we'll call it around like midday. You kind of just returned, you know, from your various sojourns and stuff. Probably just after lunch, maybe mid-afternoon. It's starting to drizzle rain when the horn from down below sounds.
Oh shit!
Seems another arrival has come. You guys can't really see what's going on, but after a little while, T-Bolt comes to you guys, and you're pretty easy to find when you're up in the monastery. There's not a lot of places to go, like I said. And he would say to you that there is someone below. They want to know whether they should allow them up or not. They are asking about you guys.
What do they look like?
What does she look like?
What does she look like? Well, she looks. He says she identified herself as Azaka. He says she was a guide. Is this true?
What
If
does she
it-
look like?
What was her name?
She's like
What is
she looks. Well,
I want to go see them before we say anything.
I would. I obviously yes, we want to see them, but I want to cast Dispel Magic on them to make sure it is not an illusion. Because if that
But
the chick
magic.
Zendala we chatted her, she had higher level magic, and it's very she could be using some sort of disguise. So whoever this is, I would like, if you guys are all down with that, I'd like to at least try and make sure it's
You were
not.
meaning detect magic or
Dispel.
I have detect and dispel.
you have to cast a spell as a target. You can't just have it on you.
That's what she's
Choose
saying.
one creature, object, or magical effect.
Yeah,
So-
you can just blast someone with Dispel Magic.
I can.
Yeah,
I
you
just
can blast them, but
That's what she
you
said.
could also just have detect magic.
Well, right,
You know,
but
to detect illusions.
detect magic doesn't. I like I say I have both.
I think it's a good idea. I think it's a good idea.
I'll go out. Like I'd like to get close enough to detect, and if I detect something, I'd like to be close enough to dispel it. So do
I don't know enough about illusions. Illusions are weird, anyways.
Are we going down, or are we bringing her here so she's trapped?
Let's go down.
Let's go down.
Well,
There's only one
to
person I know.
to answer the initial
did ask
Two,
question,
but one might have been missing.
to answer the
One
initial question of what does she
staying
look
at the
like,
temple.
he would tell you that she looks like she has had a very rough journey. She is wounded and seems to be in very rough shape. She is missing her left leg.
Left.
Zendala?
Do we see two legs
That
blown off
we saw.
from the thing?
We saw two, didn't we?
I'm pretty sure we saw it too.
You found one boot with a foot in it, and then another boot that was empty.
Oh, okay. I thought there. I didn't pick up on that. There was one empty boot. Well, let's move with a little more urgency then.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
what the fuck?
He's like,
If he
the
would
flying
take us, could they take us down?
he's like, much easier to take one up than many down.
Yeah, that works.
Well, that's true.
He's like, do you fear
But-
this person? I'm fairly certain I can handle one wounded Chultan woman.
If it's so, I'll just give him a quick rundown of why we're being cautious about with Zendala and the magic she has, so he can make his own decision whether he believes that that could be a danger.
He waves.
I
He's
would
like,
just-
he's like, I'm not concerned about one magic woman. If I was, I would not have let you up.
She's
Well,
more powerful than.
Oh, does that sting to say out loud?
Just
Liz?
keep your eyes on.
He nods. He's like,
For
you know,
now.
you know this Azaka. You trust this Azaka. If she makes trouble,
Yeah,
we toss her off the balcony, and he goes down.
It could in fact be her because we didn't find her body, but we didn't
No,
find her at all afterwards. So.
I believe that it's Azaka.
I hope it's her. I'm
I-
just being
I-
cautious.
Baz believes that it's Azaka, but at the same time, I'm not. I don't see the harm in at least showing some initial caution.
Yeah.
No. This is gonna cost us so
Well,
much
I
money.
I didn't actually.
No!
Yeah,
That's the thing. It's gonna cost us
Save us.
barely
He's like, I want my
more.
gold.
We were already gonna have to pay the month.
Yeah, we're gonna be way longer than a month now.
Yeah. Well, we'll stop by
service
Firefinger on
is
the way
not
back.
rendered. We got way fire.
All we gotta do is stop by Firefinger and kill some terrafolk, and it's no. And we gotta go up that way anyway. It's fine. If her being alive can save us money.
there
What-
was.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ren.
Well, where the hell was she? What the fuck?
We'll find out.
We're getting there.
I'm going to.
Why
cast
is there only one boot gone?
The boots. What about the boots?
How come one was full?
Well, as you guys are debating this amongst yourselves,
I'll
T-Ball
help her.
brings up what looks, as far as you can tell, to be Azaka. She does not look good. She looks very kind of beat up. And yes, she is indeed missing her left leg. It's tied up in like just cloth, like kind of tied at the end, just below or just above her left knee, and her entire left leg is gone.
What
She
in
has
the God's
kind of
name
like
happened to
ratty.
you?
I mean, she's soaked to the she's soaked through like muddy and ripped up clothes and stuff. T-Bolt deposits her. She's not radiating any sort of magic whatsoever.
Would I know if an illusion spell radiated magic? Because I can do a few of them.
Make an Arcana check.
Okay. I say because I can like disguise self and whatnot.
It's like, does the illusion make an illusion that it's not an illusion?
Well, because if you're
does-
invisible,
I
you
don't
don't give off magic. I can't use it to see invisible people. So
A cloaking one, but yeah.
There's also
know.
spells that hide magical auras.
yeah.
Or, yeah, Nustel's magic aura, specifically.
That's true, and that's a
Invisible.
low
Illusions
spell.
can be
I'm gonna be
weird.
dispelling her no matter
Yeah.
what.
We should kill her and then bring her back to life.
But
Let's see. Detect magic can detect the
First
presence
thing
of any spell unless the spell is cloaked by something like Nistil's magic aura.
Sure.
it does work with that. Yeah. I know that. That
Um,
one specifically is meant to hide magic effects and
Can detect
But-
Or
magic
make false
reveal things like disguise self? If yes, does it reveal the presence of magic, or does it is an aura of illusion? Yeah, so unless it's got a Nistil's magic aura, if someone's under an illusion spell, it will radiate magic unless it's cloaked by like a Nistil's magic aura. That's
Okay.
That's a spell that can. So with an 18, I would say, what level is Nistil's magic aura?
make fake ones.
It's level 2.
Yes.
I am going to dispel magic that
Okay, it does nothing.
specific. Okay, cool. And then I'm gonna give her a hug.
Yeah, I think while
She
that is all
kind
happening-
of as you go in to do it, she just kind of like pushes your shoulder back. She's like,
Please.
I
she's like,
Azaka,
I didn't
what-
think we were that close. And she kind of laughs.
Oh,
She's like, besides, I'm filthy and I stink.
what happened?
She's like,
And we were there for a day or so afterwards, too. And
Where?
sign of
How? What? I mean,
why
first
is
of
there
all,
1 foot?
I'm glad to see you, but how? What?
she's like, well,
Which ones did this?
it is a bit of a long story, but perhaps you have some food, some water?
Yeah.
And
we,
T-Bolt's like,
we have
yeah.
some.
I will.
We
I
feared the
will
worst.
Run and fetch. I'm sure by now I have figured out exactly where to go to
sure.
get food and water. I will run and get a bountiful amount of feasties.
And T-Bolt turns and he's like, before you feast, you must cleanse yourself. And he literally picks her up. He's like, come, we cleanse. And he takes her down to the bathroom, essentially.
as she's going away, I give her a little healing, just in case she needs it.
Sure. A few cuts and bruises, but she doesn't really have a lot of cuts and bruises.
Good.
She is
Just
missing a
the
leg,
foot.
but yeah.
That I can't.
As you guys kind of like wait a bit impatiently as Baz comes back with like food and water and she's gone. But moments like, not too long later, like people doesn't take forever. She comes back and she's like wet, but this time like clean and wet, not just like covered in mud and stuff and wet. In like just robes or like clean linen robes and stuff. She kind of like sits down and eats the food and water and drinks the water, and after she's kind of eating, she's kind of slows down a bit and she's like, feels like days since I had a good meal. And then she says, yes, well, as you may recall, I left as you were exploring that temple in the middle of the city. She says, outside, unfortunately, there came upon a woman, a strange woman. Now, I don't want to fuck up my headcanon here. You didn't see... That was while you were exploring. That was after Azaka left. So, yeah, okay. So, She describes the woman that Blackwind you saw when you were exploring the temple
I was gonna
outside,
say,
with kind of like the dusky, kind of grayish blue skin, the red hair, with that spear.
yeah,
She describes
the
her.
first room I went into.
Yeah. She describes that woman. She says that having, not recognizing her, she kind of confronted her, and the woman must have. She kind of like glances at T-Bolt. Must have recognized what I am. And she says she did not even answer one of my questions. She took an amulet she was holding in her hand, and a strange, I can only describe it as like a mote of darkness appeared in the air. It moved towards me, and as it did so, it seemed to eat the plants and the trees that it passed by me. It lashed out at me with I don't know what you'd call it, a tendril, a lance of darkness. I barely got out of the way, but it cut me deeply, and she kind of like lifts her side, like her shirt, and you can see that on the side there is like a large, like it's kind of healed over, but not super well. A large, almost like a divot out of her side.
Ugh.
It's healed over with like where the, but it hasn't like healed completely. Like there's a piece of her side like missing. It's shallow, but it's still gone, and it's quite obviously gone along the side. She says that she tried to run, but as she did so, another lance came out of the orb and essentially severed her leg. It did, right just below the knee. She stumbled and fell into the water, and the woman, I must assumed I was dead. She disappeared into the temple.
You went back in.
She kind of like, she's like, I'm not quite sure what happened after that. The pain was very, I must have blacked out. But when I awoke, I was at the edge of an embankment. I pulled myself up, and there was men there, maybe 5 or 6 of them. They were strange men with vacant eyes. They took me. They took me through. I'm not sure exactly where. They covered my head. They dragged me into a building. I spent, I think, maybe a day, 2 days there. I know. Afterwards, a woman, not the same woman, but another woman came, and she took me out of the darkness. I think I must have been in the. She basically describes like the scholar ward. She said they didn't even question me. They just kept me in the dark for hours and hours, and then they seemed to, I don't know, something seemed to get their attention. They just took me to the edge of the ward again and dumped me back in the canal over the wall. I don't know what they wanted. As I said, they never even spoke with me. But after that, you must have left the city because I searched around for you. I
Found what was the missing part of you and assumed the worst because
was like,
we
oh,
couldn't find.
there was something left of me.
Your
Yeah,
foot.
we found a foot and an empty boot.
And,
Oh.
and there was
And we
like
found no signs of you.
where you were like in front of or behind like a hole in a bush or something, and it, from our perspective, it looked like you were standing there and something just came through and just shunted you out of existence but left your foot. I know that sounds insane, but that's what it appeared like.
It's like, wow.
We were there for another whole day, I think, at least.
Yes, after you, when I went searching for you, you were gone. But your, well, I call her your friend, but our friend, I suppose, Masika. She let me back in the temple. She told me where you were headed. I follow through the rain. The leg,
With what?
it didn't
With
even
what?
bleed. It cauterized, but it didn't slow me down. And she kind of like glances over at T-Bolt again, who's just like passively listening. She's like, as you know, that I have abilities that allow me. It's like one leg is not. Obviously I couldn't catch you with only one leg, but I did my best to follow you here.
And with this terrible weather too, and all that.
It's like true, but alone, even with one leg, I can move through the jungle very quickly when I need to. I wish I had gotten here sooner. I'm just glad that I caught you before you left here. I wasn't sure if you had made it here. I'm glad to see you're all safe.
I'm beside myself.
But as we are to see you
the
safe,
worst.
we thought you were gone.
He kind of looks up at you guys, and she's like, I thought I might have seen the end. There's not a lot. And she kind of glances at T-Bolt again, but she's like, there's not a lot that can hurt me like that. But I'd never experienced such pain, and as you can see, I have not recovered. Not as I would have expected to.
Well, I don't exactly know, when we're going to be able to leave. Hopefully within the next few days. I don't think the rain's going to last that long. But, I mean, when we do leave, if you'd like to stay with us, assuming it's okay with, I'm gesturing over to Tybalt, assuming it's okay with our hosts, we'd be happy for you to stay and for you to come with us.
Tybalt nods.
Like, I want my gold.
Tybalt nods. He's like, if you vouch for her, she can stay as long as she needs.
Finish it up.
Oh, Azaka would nod. She's like, I'm grateful. She kind of looks back at you and she says, but well, frankly, I was more concerned whether, I'm not sure why you may have hired me in the first place. You seem to have made your way through the jungle with nary a scratch on you. I don't believe you've maybe outgrown my services. Either way, she's like, I did not mean to abandon you in the city, and I'm sorry that, although you may have thought I was dead, I'm sorry I couldn't keep my word and uphold our terms of employment. Obviously, I don't expect you to pay.
Well, we're gonna try to do a new leg.
Yeah, if anything, I feel like at least I'm sorry. I feel like we abandoned you to a degree. It makes me ill to think that you were there by yourself. I'm glad that Masika was there to take otherwise you would have had no clue.
Fortunately, the way that place was, it doesn't make tracking really possible. There was footprints all over the place, let alone, then it could just disappear into nothingness in the moat.
she nods. She's like, yes, there was times when I was following that. I'm not sure if I even took the same path as you. I knew roughly how to get here, and I knew where your destination was, so I was only just hoping that you would still be here. At least they could point me in your direction.
Well, and that's a good
Imagine
point,
if we left
Azaka.
early.
We, given where we are, we're hoping to
make it back to port, our ship got destroyed. So we figured our next best bet was taking the River Tariki back up, and we may be able to handle ourselves out in the jungle, but you probably have a much better idea of how we can get there. And
Azaka kind of like
Firefingers on the way.
Azaka kind of like looks at you. She's like, "The ship is destroyed."
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
Storm.
Monsoon got it.
Yeah.
She just kind of shakes her head.
We saved one, but he died.
She's like, "Well, I'm glad you're all alive, but I think this expedition, I think I would put this up as a failure if I was keeping track."
I mean,
I don't know.
Oh,
from
actually, we
our
came away.
perspective,
Yeah, definitely a failure.
even better
Definitely
now.
like get your money back type. I want to speak to your manager situation. No, you were great.
I don't suppose I mean if you had, you probably would have mentioned it, but I feel like I should ask anyway. You didn't happen to see Zendala anywhere, did you?
No, and then she kind of looks around. She's like, "She's not with you." No,
Oh,
no, of course, no, she wouldn't be. Right, Masika mentioned something about her running off after you met this artist man.
Betrayal.
Yeah, it's
He's an artist.
it's a bit complicated, that whole situation, but
She shakes her head. She's like, "No, I did not see her at all. No sign of her, as far as I'm aware of. At least by the time I left, Masika, neither of us had seen her.
Didn't hear her whimpering in the dark.
No, I
Dang.
hear she's much more powerful than you, so I don't know if she would." I'm just kidding. She kind of grins. Just kidding.
If you're not willing to give me a hug, you can't. You don't get to poke fun at me like that.
And she kind of just grins, and she's just like, "I am not really a hugger, but
well, that's okay.
Well-
yeah, but I mean, she doesn't really have much else to say, really. Not, I mean, that's kind of the story she has for you. We are getting close to the end here. John, what's this thing on the 10th? Is it something we can take care of, or is it longer? Do you want to save it for next session, or do you want to do that now? Because that's the next thing that would occur.
No, we can save it for next session. It'll be a good surprise. Even for Corey.
Oh, good. Is it something that's going to be
DMs
really
love
crazy?
surprises.
On the
Nah,
10th,
Is it anything I need to prepare for?
Sorry.
No, you don't need to prepare for anything.
Oh,
It's
He
the
morphs
day
into a
when
giant-
Do you?
it's the day when his people turn into butterflies.
Yeah.
Like the dinosaur in the temple?
Yeah.
Does nobody else remember what happened in the temple?
Yes, yes, it was the one that I happened upon first,
Yes.
and it
It wasn't a mastodon, though.
No, it was a large dinosaur. It had golden scales, and it turned into a butterfly.
It turned into a cloud of butterflies.
It was
That's true. You're right.
he's been a walking cocooned caterpillar this whole time.
wrapped in a dinosaur's body.
I would imagine
Jeez.
we would fill her in on
Yeah,
stuff
Sure,
over the next.
sure. So the other than her showing up in this thing on the 10th, I do have. So I guess maybe it's 1:45, so I don't really want to get into anything else right now. So I just want to make note for myself. So we got this thing on the 10th, and then obviously there's all the stuff you guys talked about doing, but I do need to give you guys some info on what Ashara can tell you about Orlunga and all of that, so I'll do that next time, because that might take some time. She'll tell you about that, and then I gotta give you guys some notes about the surrounding terrain and landmarks and things, because they know the terrain quite well. They know where a lot of things are, and they know the distances, so you guys can get some really good, accurate information about some of the interior of Chult, which will be good.
Sweet.
at least give you a very good sense of landmarks and how far things are and where things are in relation to each other, so you can plan what your next steps will be. And then
Slap some more pins on that map.
Yep. What else?
Oh, we hit level 6.
Yeah, and then there's some stuff at the end of your time here, but
Good try.
I want to cover off all the rest of that first, and then we'll get to that. So, probably... Yeah, okay. Sorry, now I'm just talking to myself as I plan my next session.
At dawn, we plan.
At dawn, we plan. Okay, so I guess... Given that it's Q2, no combat today, but that's okay. I really didn't expect combat today, unless you guys really started something. So let's wrap it up. We'll go around the table, the virtual table. We'll start with Aelin because he went last. So Andre, take us away.
Sure. I enjoyed all of the lore and development and just settling in to where are we? Kir Sabal.
Where are we?
Wherever this is. I don't
Yeah,
know.
this fucking play. I don't really care about it. The reveal of the Tepka was certainly unexpected. I'm so happy we have Azaka back and that she's not dead. Yeah, I'd say my only thorn is that I feel like you just really didn't prepare for this session, Corey.
Yeah.
And I really felt it.
Sorry. Scatterbrain
Well,
me.
you know, if anything, though, the improv though was not bad. You know, the making all this.
If you hadn't said anything before everyone joined and we started about not preparing, I would never have known. There was nothing that felt unprepared.
That's good. Cool.
This was unprepared.
Yeah.
That's better than most people's prepared.
Brad, what do you think?
Good session, lots of good info. Fun RP. I like the lore dump. I like the idea of knowing we're going to have downtime, and from a gameplay perspective saying, okay, what do you guys want to achieve during this time? I like that system. Works well. I think maybe one thorn might be if we think that is something that is going to come up in a session, letting us know in the prior session, so that we could come up with more defined things as opposed to coming up with it on the spot. Would be nice.
We have this week.
Agreed.
If there's anything else we want to
Sure.
do,
Yeah,
if we think of anything.
that's fair.
You're only like 7 days in right now.
Yeah,
So.
that's not a huge deal. It's just a general thing I was just thinking about.
Sure.
It might take some of the delay of thought out.
If I had prepared better for the session, I probably would have let you guys know in advance. I'm sorry.
It's all good. Yeah. Inspiration to Liz for the interaction with the kids at the beginning. Seemed to go pretty well. Break the ice.
Who? Liz.
Hey, that's me. So one note, my dispel magic, I can't target a specific effect that I don't know if it's there. So I would have had to just target her.
Sure. Yeah.
You could
Yeah,
target
which
an
it
object.
dispels everything anyway.
It just but that's not if you choose an effect. If you choose a creature, it dispels everything. So
Yeah, so why
anything
wouldn't you
level
choose
2
the
or
creature?
below gets dispelled.
Oh
Anything
god, she's
for-
dead. I forgot she
Maybe.
had that. No.
Because then it might have a buff and like maybe it's your friend and you want to get rid of the debuff.
Anything 4 or higher has to be rolled.
Her haste spell's gone. Way to go. I'm just kidding.
Well,
That's how she caught up to you so fast. A week
I
later.
just figured I didn't know because I don't know if she has anything on her, so I just wanted to make sure.
You
that you-
cured her lycanthropy, Liz. Good job.
Awesome. Yeah, but obvious. I mean, yeah, Rose is Azaka coming back because I was so sad that she was dead. I feel really bad that we just didn't go to the Scholar Ward because we probably would have potentially found her.
Yeah, dude,
Or been killed.
Or
everything
been
about
killed.
that place
Got
said,
her killed.
don't go here.
Oh, 100%.
So-
It just it's an extra little thorn because it was the one of the places in Mesro I wanted to go the most before all of that shit. So it was just like it's just like an extra little needle of like, yeah, you didn't go.
Okay.
But
Right.
yeah, no,
Oh,
definitely
sorry.
Rose. Hold on. I want to give inspiration to Ryan for bringing up the Utepka.
Yes.
That was smart. I didn't even think to try it, so
Yeah.
good job. But yeah,
You
no,
got that information out before I planned on letting it out.
yeah, no, I thought it was really smart. I loved it. So
Yep.
no thorns that I can
Better
think
late than never with the idea, though.
Yeah, hey, it worked.
Yeah.
All
of.
right.
No, it worked. It was great.
All right, Ryan, what about you?
Yeah. Yeah, it was a great session. I liked touching back into the crafting a little bit. Just I agree with Brad. If you think that we're gonna have something, maybe we can all think about something beforehand. That's all. Nothing major. It just helps us speed up our thought process. As well.
Sure. Yeah. I knew I was putting you on
so-
the spot. I'm like, you got 30 days. What do you want to do? And everyone's like, okay, let me think. Yeah. I get it.
If you were unprepared from this, like I do say though, like it's probably better than a lot of people's prepared anyways. So, mind you didn't have to pull up any combat or anything like that, but still,
Yeah.
finding Azaka, fuck yeah, you better not take her away from us again, you mother.
every time you leave her alone, she's gonna lose a limb.
Yeah.
This better not be a false pretense. We'll get angry. Yeah, so I completely almost forgot about the Utepka and the symbols and shit like that. It's like, fuck, you know what? And we haven't had to bring it up much. And we literally had only been indoctrinated in it, so
Yeah.
I'm glad it was something that we were able to use and like not forget about afterwards after the whole game is done or something.
Yeah.
We must remember we
It's like, oh yeah, we're
find
part of a
allies.
secret society. Shit. The whole game.
Let's just ask them straight up. No, but that's what the hand signals are for. So
You're new to the secret society.
yeah, no. Yeah, everybody talks about being in it. So yeah, I didn't really have any bad signs. It was just a nice touch on some lore. All around fun.
Cool.
It cycled through really well too. I think I found like everybody got there, so you did really well in that.
Thanks. All right, John.
Yeah,
I'm going in
no
camera circle here. That's why.
I like that we're doing some downtime, even though it's surprise downtime. I was lucky in that you got to me a little bit last, so I was working on a list. Like even when you called on me, I was typing last few of my things. But I think it's cool that we can do some unexpected downtime. So yeah, I think that was my favorite part.
Cool. Sean.
Yeah, I thought the session and stuff was okay. I didn't find stuff that the crafting and stuff slowed it down too much. I think it felt natural and stuff at the time because we had the downtime. And so like that for everybody and so like that. So it didn't slow it down as much as I thought it was going to. And that stuff for it, like even though I didn't really do anything else for it, I didn't find I was bored and so I had to do it for other people doing it. And that, but like yeah, I don't have any roses or thorns really. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, and for me, yeah, my thorn, of course, I said at the very beginning, is I felt unprepared. But that said, because last session was like a half session where it was just the combat, I feel like I've had a good full 2 weeks to think about it, even though I didn't sit down. A lot of times I sit down and write a few points or notes or maybe prep a combat just in case and other things, so I didn't have any of that. But I had been thinking about it, like last session when we ended early, I spent like the rest of the night thinking about, okay, well, what was going to happen, and then thinking about that throughout the week. So But so it was a thorn, but I'm glad that you guys didn't really feel it all that much, which is good. Roses, yeah, I like that you guys. I mean, even though you said, oh, it'd be nice if we had some warning about the downtime, I feel like you all came up with some really interesting things that you were doing, that even as a DM, and I really liked how when you were crafting, everybody just seemed to know what they were doing and what, like, mechanically, it just was like, it was like, even though we hadn't used it for so long, that everyone was just like, yeah, I know the numbers, I know my DCs, I know what dice I should have, I know what I want to build, and it went pretty fast, like Sean was saying. Like, it didn't feel like it was dragging. It was just like, yeah, I'm gonna make 3 maps, and here's the DCs, and we got some cool boons, and you finish your tattoos, and it was really, that was really good. That was a rose for me, because I was yeah, when you were like, oh, let's do some crafting stuff, I'm like, okay, that's cool, but I hadn't, again, mentally, I wasn't prepared for crafting. So I was like, oh shit, what are they gonna do? I'm gonna have to come up with a bunch of stuff. But no, you guys had it all like down. You knew what you were doing and just went right through.
And that
it,
was the main difference. We didn't ask you which dice we were allowed to have. We just figured out which dice we already had.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You guys knew what you had and what you needed to roll. I could have jumped in at any time.
You would stop it, right?
Exactly, I could have jumped in at any time and said, no, I don't think you'd have the assistant dice, or I didn't think you had the knowledge dice, but yeah, you guys said, yeah, I should have this dice from this dice for this, and I was like, yeah, that all makes sense, go for it. Great. And that's ideally how I'd like the crafting to be. Like, you guys know what you're going to do, and you have a really good idea of what dice you have before you do it, and it's just, you might have the clarification on what the DC is, or do I have this dice or not, but in general, yeah, if you know what you want to do, you have the witchcraft rules, you can basically know what the DC roughly should be. You might be off by 1 level up or down, but and roughly you should know whether you have those dice, and yeah, it worked really well, so that was good. And you got some cool stuff out of it. You got a cool
really
map and
you can see some great rolls.
Yeah, the tattoos. Like, I can picture it in my mind. I can picture Baz all these badass like sigils down his trunk now. So you got to get a better character portrait, Brad. You need to find something cool with some runes on it.
I gotta get a
Bug Ash.
Yeah, bug
Scribble
some of your artistic
runes on
friends.
his nose now.
Oh, so our camera's effed up. There we go. I fixed it. Anyways, so yeah, that's it. We will wrap up our session here. So yeah, that's where we'll end. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Magic Mythal Tomb of Annihilation. We live stream nearly every Sunday at 4 p.m. excuse me, Pacific time on Twitch, and the weekly sessions will be posted up on YouTube as well. There'll be a link below in the channel. If you enjoy spending time watching these, consider giving us a follow, turn on notifications, you'll see when we go live, and never miss an episode. Thanks again, and thank you again to all of my players. Until next time, have a great night.